When they break up with the rebound, what it means for you. Have you ever found yourself obsessively checking your ex's social media, only to see them post loved-up pictures with someone new right after your breakup? It stings. It feels like you were replaced in a matter of seconds, but now the twist is they just broke up with that rebound. So, what does that mean for you? If you're feeling a flood of emotions, hope, confusion, maybe even a little satisfaction, you're not alone. A rebound breakup often feels like the moment you've been waiting for. But before you get caught up in the whirlwind of what-if scenarios, it's important to pause and understand what this really means. In this video, we're diving deep into the psychology of rebound relationships, why your ex jumped into one, what usually happens behind the scenes, and most importantly, what the end of their rebound could actually mean for you. Whether you're secretly hoping for a reunion, trying to make sense of their behavior, or just seeking closure, this video will give you clear, honest insight backed by research and expert advice. Let's break it down, step by step. Why do people enter rebound relationships? Breakups are emotionally brutal, there's just no getting around that. And for many people, the fastest way to avoid sitting with the pain is to jump straight into something new. That's where rebound relationships come in, but these aren't just casual flings, they serve very specific emotional purposes. One of the biggest reasons people rebound is distraction. Being with someone new creates a temporary high, affection, attention, and physical intimacy. It all helps mask the pain of a breakup. It's kind of like putting a band-aid over a wound that hasn't even started to heal. Another big reason is validation. After being rejected or left, people often feel unwanted. A rebound partner can make someone feel attractive again, desirable, even lovable, especially when self-worth is taking a hit. Some people aren't really seeking a partner, they're seeking proof that they still matter. Then there's the avoidance of grief. Sitting alone and processing the end of a relationship is uncomfortable. It forces you to confront your emotions, but a rebound provides an escape hatch. Something fun and exciting to do instead of feeling sad or lonely. Therapists warn that this can backfire. Those suppressed feelings don't just go away, they build up and hit harder later. And of course, some people use rebounds to send a message. Posting happy couple pictures on social media or showing off a new relationship can be a not-so-subtle way to say, "I've moved on." But often, it's more of a performance than reality. The psychology behind rebound relationships is complex, but the main takeaway is this. A rebound is rarely about the new person. It's about the person rebounding, trying to cope with pain in the quickest way possible. So, what typically happens in a rebound? At first, rebound relationships can seem like a dream come true. Fast, intense, and full of excitement. Your ex might have looked euphoric, smitten, and totally over you. But what you saw was likely the honeymoon phase. Dopamine, novelty, and emotional distraction wrapped up in a shiny package. But as time passes, the initial spark often fades. Rebounds tend to burn bright and fast. The reality starts to creep in. That new person? Maybe they're not as compatible. Maybe they can't meet the same emotional depth or connection that existed in the previous relationship. Cracks begin to show. Statistically, most rebound relationships don't last. Therapists note they typically fall apart within a few months, usually after the 2 to 3 month mark, when the dopamine wears off and real-life compatibility issues emerge. One major reason is emotional confusion. The person rebounding often hasn't processed their breakup. They may still have feelings for their ex, consciously or not. That creates instability. They may find themselves comparing their new partner to you, and when those comparisons start, the new relationship starts to wobble. But just to be fair, it's important to mention that not all rebounds crash and burn. Some evolve into stable, lasting relationships, especially if both people are self-aware and emotionally available. But in most cases, rebounds are coping mechanisms, not love stories. They serve a short-term emotional need, not long-term compatibility. And if your ex's rebound just ended, that pattern likely held true. The emotional high wore off, and now they're facing the reality they tried to avoid. Do rebound relationships last? Let's talk about the question that probably crossed your mind the moment you saw your ex with someone new. Is this rebound going to last? The short answer? Usually no. Rebound relationships tend to be built on shaky ground. They often start not because two people are deeply compatible, but because one person is trying to escape emotional pain. Most rebound relationships are short-lived. According to therapists and relationship experts, they typically last anywhere from a few weeks to a few months, rarely making it beyond the initial honeymoon phase. Once the dopamine fades and real compatibility issues surface, the cracks begin to show. Why do they end? For starters, the emotional foundation is weak. Rebounders are often still emotionally attached to their ex. That makes it hard to form a stable connection with someone new. There's also the problem of comparison. The new partner gets measured against the old one, often unfairly. And let's not forget that many people in rebound mode haven't done the personal healing they need to build something lasting. That said, not all rebounds are doomed. Some do develop into real long-term relationships, but those are the exception, not the rule. In most cases, the rebound serves a purpose. It helps the person avoid heartbreak temporarily. But when the distraction wears off, they're forced to face the emotional work they skipped. And that's usually when the relationship ends. So, if your ex's rebound just collapsed, it fits the pattern. It likely wasn't built to last because it wasn't built on healing, it was built on escape. When the rebound ends, your ex is likely facing a wave of emotions, and honestly, they're probably more complicated than they'll admit. At first glance, it might just look like another breakup, but what's really happening is something deeper. The emotional pain they postponed is now catching up to them fast. Think of it kind of like a delayed grieving process. The rebound helped them skip over the hardest parts of the original breakup, but now, without that emotional crutch, all the feelings they buried may be rising to the surface. They might be feeling a double hit of loss, one for the rebound relationship, and another for the breakup with you, which, let's face it, they never really processed in the first place. That can lead to a spiral of loneliness, regret, and even nostalgia for what they had with you. This is also the moment when reality really sets in. Without the distraction of a new person, your ex has space to reflect. They may start rethinking the past, your relationship, the breakup, even the good times. And yeah, this is when comparisons often begin. The rebound partner might not have measured up, which can make your ex remember things they appreciated about you, possibly for the first time in a while. Regret, guilt, and even embarrassment can creep in. If they left you quickly and flaunted the rebound, they may now feel foolish or ashamed. They might worry about how others see them. They might be wondering if you think less of them now. And that internal pressure can lead them to pull back, reflect quietly, or even reach out to you. But whether they do or not, one thing is almost certain. They're on an emotional roller coaster right now, facing emotions they avoided at first, and navigating the fallout of 2 breakups at once. So now that their rebound has ended, what does it actually mean for you? First, let's acknowledge something real. You might feel a mix of emotions. Hope, because maybe this means they'll come back. Validation, because their rebound didn't replace what you had. And confusion, because now the door to reconnecting feels like it just cracked open a little. But you don't know what to do next. All of that is completely normal. Emotionally, this moment can be powerful. Your ex's rebound ending can feel like a shift in energy. Suddenly, you may no longer be the one who was left behind. Instead, you're the one who remained steady while they ran from their feelings. There's a subtle but important shift in the power dynamic. While your ex was chasing distraction, you were likely doing the hard work, healing, reflecting, growing. That makes you stronger now. And if you stayed in no contact or kept your distance, you've created space for your ex to actually miss you and maybe even realize your value. But with that shift comes pressure. You might be thinking, is this my chance to get them back? Should I reach out? What if I miss the window? Take a breath. Just because the rebound ended, doesn't mean you need to act immediately. You have time to process what you want. You're not just a backup option. You're not here to rescue them from emotional fallout. This is your life too, and your decision matters. It's also possible this breakup reopens old wounds. You might have made real progress in healing only to feel sucked back into old thoughts, old memories, and old feelings. That's okay too, just be aware of it. Rebound breakups don't just affect the people in them, they affect the people watching from the sidelines, especially if you were once emotionally involved. So, what does it mean for you? It means you're in a position to pause, reflect, and decide. You now have emotional clarity that your ex didn't just ride into a perfect new love story, and that knowledge alone can be incredibly freeing. Now that the rebound is over, your ex might start showing signs that they're thinking about you again. But what should you be looking for? Here are the most common behaviors that suggest they're considering a return, or at least missing you. First, increased communication. If your ex suddenly texts you, comments on your social media, or reaches out with seemingly casual messages like, "Hey, just saw something that reminded me of you," that's not random, it's a soft way of testing the waters. Second, curiosity about your life. They might ask mutual friends how you're doing or suddenly get interested in your Instagram stories again. Questions like, "So, are you seeing anyone?" are a clear sign they're gauging your availability and their chances. Next, accidental run-ins. If you start bumping into your ex more than usual, it could be on purpose. Maybe they show up where you usually hang out or join events where they know you'll be. That's often a sign they're looking for proximity without the pressure of directly reaching out. Then there's nostalgia. If they start bringing up memories from when you were together, like, "Remember that trip we took?" Or, "I heard our song the other day," that's them emotionally revisiting the connection. It's their way of rebuilding a sense of intimacy. Also, pay attention to emotional vulnerability. If your ex opens up about their feelings, their breakup, or even past mistakes with you, it's a strong indicator they're softening. They may express regret, sadness, or a desire to talk more seriously. Jealousy can also show up. If they react when you mention other people or seem bothered by the idea of you moving on, that reveals they still feel a connection or even a sense of possession. Lastly, watch for a change in their boundaries. If they were distant or told you not to contact them during the rebound and now they're suddenly open, friendly, or responsive, that's a sign they may be lowering their guard and inviting some level of reconnection. But here's the key. One or two of these signs may not mean much. Look for patterns. If several of these things are happening consistently, there's a good chance your ex is seriously reconsidering your place in their life. So, let's say the signs are there. Your ex is texting, reminiscing, maybe even hinting at wanting to talk. Before you open that door, let's slow down and talk about the emotional risks involved in reconnecting, because this part is where, honestly, a lot of people get hurt again. Risk number 1, being the fallback. Ask yourself, are they reaching out because they truly miss you, or just because they're lonely and their rebound didn't work out? If they're coming back only to soothe their ego or avoid being alone, that's not reconciliation, that's emotional convenience. You deserve to be chosen out of love and clarity, not just because you were next in line. Risk number 2, unresolved issues. Whatever led to your original breakup still exists unless it's been worked through. If communication, trust, or incompatibility were problems, those things need to be addressed head-on. Jumping back in without dealing with the past is how people end up in those painful cycles of breaking up all over again. Risk number 3, emotional whiplash. Reconnecting can stir up old feelings, both good and bad. It's easy to fall back into the emotional intensity of a former relationship, especially if your ex is being sweet or vulnerable. But if they're not stable or clear on what they want, you could be setting yourself up for another heartbreak. Risk number 4, rebuilding trust. Let's be honest, if they left you and jumped into someone else's arms, that hurts. Even if you forgive them, you might carry lingering resentment or doubt, and rebuilding that trust takes time and transparency from both sides. If that process is rushed or skipped, the emotional wounds will resurface. Risk number 5, your own healing. You may have made real progress in moving on. Reconnecting could set you back emotionally, especially if things don't work out again. You might lose momentum on the growth and self-worth you've been building. It's easy to forget that a second heartbreak from the same person can hurt even more. In short, before you engage, ask yourself, are you emotionally ready? Are they truly ready? Is there real change, or just temporary emotion? Reconnection can be beautiful if done with maturity and care, but it can also reopen scars that haven't fully healed. So, your ex's rebound is over. You've seen signs they might be thinking of you. Now what? Step 1, don't rush. If you've been following no contact or have been keeping your distance, it might be tempting to jump in and reach out. But hold off. Your silence has created space and contrast. It's made you more noticeable and more valuable. Give it a bit of time. Let them sit with the absence. If they truly want to reconnect, they'll make a move. Step 2, reflect on what you want. Before you do anything, ask yourself, do I actually want them back? Or is it just the idea of them? Have I grown since the breakup? Am I in a stronger place now? Do I trust them not to hurt me again? You don't owe anyone your forgiveness, your attention, or your heart, especially if they broke it. Step 3, keep it light at first. If you do engage in conversation, start casual. You don't need to dive into deep emotions or old wounds right away. Keep the tone warm, but neutral. Let them show their intentions before you reveal yours. If they bring up the breakup or the rebound, listen, but don't spill everything at once. Watch their consistency, not just their words. Step 4, listen and observe. Are they apologizing? Are they showing accountability? Or are they just venting about being lonely? Do they seem to want a genuine connection, or are they looking for a safety net? Pay attention to the emotional energy behind their actions. That will tell you more than any text. Step 5, be honest when it's time. If things start progressing, have the real talk. Let them know how their rebound affected you. Talk about what hurt, what's changed, and what you would need for anything to work again. Don't sweep the past under the rug. A solid foundation is built on truth, not pretense. Step 6. Take it slow if you do reconnect. This isn't a movie. You don't need to run into each other's arms and pretend like nothing happened. If you're open to trying again, build slowly, rebuild trust, go on dates, relearn each other. Let actions prove what words can't. Step 7. Protect your peace no matter what. If you realize you don't want to get back together or that they're not sincere, it's okay to walk away. Set your boundaries. Be kind, but firm. Closure doesn't always mean reunion. Sometimes it's clarity. And most importantly, don't lose the version of yourself you've become during this time apart. While everyone handles breakups differently, research and psychology suggest some common patterns in how men and women experience rebounds and what happens after those rebounds end. Let's start with men. Men are often socialized to suppress emotions and move on quickly. As a result, many men jump into rebound relationships fast, not necessarily because they're over the breakup, but because they want to avoid sitting with difficult feelings. The rebound becomes a distraction, a way to escape the grief they're not comfortable processing. But here's what happens next. Once the rebound ends, the emotional reality hits hard, and often later. Many men experience delayed grief, regret, and loneliness. Studies show men are more likely to idealize past relationships and may suffer more intensely in silence. So if your ex is male, there's a real chance he's feeling the emotional crash of losing 2 relationships at once, his connection with the rebound and his unresolved feelings about you. Now let's talk about women. Women tend to process breakups more fully and more emotionally, often grieving before the relationship has even ended. When they enter a rebound, it's not always out of avoidance. It can be a way to rediscover themselves, rebuild confidence, or confirm that leaving was the right decision. But once that rebound ends, women are more likely to have already done some of the internal emotional work. Still, they may reflect on what they lost, especially if the rebound didn't bring the emotional safety or connection they were hoping for. Regret or clarity can follow, but so can firm resolve not to return to the past. Social support plays a role too. Women often have stronger emotional networks. They talk to friends, seek advice, and are more likely to be influenced by those voices. Men, on the other hand, may isolate, making them more likely to revisit old relationships in search of familiarity and emotional comfort. So what does this mean for you? Understanding these patterns can help you interpret your ex's behavior. Whether they're male or female, what matters most is their emotional maturity, self-awareness, and how they handle the breakup now. Gender gives you clues, but actions give you answers. So here you are, your ex's rebound is over and everything feels uncertain again. The door that was shut might now be half open. The silence might break, the emotions might rush back. But here's what matters most right now. You still have control over what happens next. Yes, there may be a chance to reconnect, but that chance only matters if it aligns with what's healthy and right for you. Just because your ex is single again doesn't mean you need to rush into something, ignore your healing, or shrink yourself to fit back into an old story. Take your time. Check in with yourself. Ask, what do I need? What do I deserve? What boundaries do I want to keep? It's tempting to view their breakup as your green light, but the truth is, your healing, your peace, and your self-worth are not dependent on what your ex does or doesn't do. Whether they come back or stay gone, whether you reconcile or move on completely, remember, you have already survived the hardest part. You are not someone who was replaced. You are someone who is growing, evolving, and learning how to protect your own heart. So whatever happens next, make sure it's something that honors you. If you don't want to miss any of our future videos, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications.